I wish we should start a smooth jazz radio station and not play jazz.
Would you just talk like a bunch of jazz hosts?
We'll do jazz bass a cappella. Boop, 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 bum, ba, bum, ba, dum, bum, ba, bum, ba, bum, 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 bum, ba, bum, ba. You see, you see that? We just created the theme song without AI.
We are the AI.
We are.
We're already here.
Our intelligence is definitely
Yeah.
artificial.
We have a lot of interesting artificial stuff to talk about. And I think AI is gonna come into this conversation with the way that the new
Eventually.
2K23 game is going. But we have Max, founder, owner, leader, employee of XVPW. How you doing, man?
You
Welcome
just
to the
botched.
show.
You just botched the name a little bit. That's fine.
It-
Welcome to
it-
the
It's a tongue twister.
It is. Is it really? I don't know.
show, man. What? Extreme virtual pro wrestling. There's nothing.
Say XVPW 5 times fast.
XVPW, 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 XVPW.
XVPW, 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 XVPW. I could do.
All right. Well, fuck you both.
Imagine me on a labia. I'd fucking destroy somebody.
Now, like I seen a couple promotions who use like 3 W's into like an X or something. I'm just like, okay, that's too many single letter W's. Or,
3 W's to an X.
yeah, man, I seen a couple promotions like that. I thought of the name for XVPW. I did not want a 3-letter promotion. I always did the 4 letters because it stands out. Like New Japan Pro Wrestling. Like, oh, that sounds dope. I like that. So I wanted to copy that. I wanted 4 letters.
What about 2 letters? How do you feel about the 2 letters?
Oh, I don't know. That sounds weird. If anything, I would have just like thought of a word for my promotion, like evolve. That was the name of the promotion. Evolve. Progress. Like if it wasn't for 4 letters, I would have just thought of like a one word.
Well, do you think that we're coming to a point, especially with Call, that we're running out of names now?
Nah.
I think it's gotten to the point where, I mean, I see it simply just because we've got companies that are like legitimately calling themselves WCW, so on and so forth. And not only just calling themselves, like abbreviating, because they might like have a different meaning to the letter. But, I mean, you could definitely tell that the inspiration is drawn from
Did you guys like start together?
Nah.
Who, Max and I? Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Nah. I discovered Geo, I think, 4 years after I thought of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling.
It's a long time.
It was a long time.
And you're from the same county.
Yeah. We're from the same county, and we somewhat know the same people, but we never crossed paths ever in our lives.
It's kind of the thing with Hudson County. It's like it's a very small town for being so big.
It's that 6 degrees separation divided by 2.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Absolutely.
Yeah. But XVPW started, well, I would say the mindset of it was in 2014, where I believe, no, was it 2014? Oh, no, I'm sorry. All I know is I bought the 2K17 game, or was it No, it was 2K18. There you go. So the thought of it was on 2017. I got the game W2K18. I had a group of my friends come over for a Secret Santa, and I created everybody on 2K18, and we did like a Royal Rumble or some shit like that. And next thing you know, my friends were acting like wrestlers. And from there, I thought of we could do something, because I was already a YouTuber at that time. We were a tabletop gaming YouTube channel. We used to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we used to talk about wrestling a lot and all that. And yeah, from there, we did a couple of wrestling skits on my old YouTube channel, but for some reason it got deleted. I don't know why the channel got deleted. Maybe because I wasn't uploading consistently enough. Because I was reading that XDPW mindset. I was like, man, how could I make this into something? So me and my friends were acting like wrestlers. We cut up promos against each other, and then came the birth of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. We did like 6 episodes, you know, and
Interesting.
yeah,
Yes.
from there, I think when I uploaded the first episode, it caught like wildfire. From there, I think that's where a lot of people were messaging me on Facebook, or people who I didn't know, saying, "Yo, this is great. Come join or check out our promotion or some shit." And I realized, oh crap, here I thought of being original, and I see people who's been doing this since 2000, 2010.
Yeah, and probably even earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
when I first, I mean, I've played just about almost every WWF game that came out in the beginning, but we didn't even start customization to what, just like last 20 years, if even that,
I guess the first one, Just Bring It or something.
something like that.
The
And
loading dates were shorter, so
yep, so the first SmackDown game that came out was in 2000, and that's when you really like got to have some fun with your customization and things like that. And with weird names, and then there was Know Your Role, and then there was so many. But I think even like for me, I didn't really start like really customizing my character until maybe around the same time when they really did something about the customizations. Um, I know Geo, he would play all the time. He would, it was one of our favorite games. Like it was the only good game that we could play, and everything was always so smooth. So, I mean,
I
there was.
interviewed a guy. Forgot his name. Shit, it's in my channel. But I interviewed a guy who who did Caw, and like he would produce shows together. But when I tell you, when I ask him what was his thought process behind this and how did he do it, he used to record off disc, like reusable disc, and he would put the shows together through that. And I was like, when did you start this, and how, and this even before
That's
Facebook,
incredible.
he would go to forums, and that's how people would come together in his roster. So forums, not even MySpace, not even Facebook. This guy was in the UK creating shows, call shows, and he would like legit go to forums to recruit people. So there's people who've been doing call during what 2000
During the DVD era.
yeah, because you would edit shows like because people didn't have softwares, especially good softwares at that most. So he would edit them through disc, which is really interesting.
That is so interesting, especially with how because I think right now we're in the digital era now. Everything is digital. We have
Yeah, everything's digital.
you can pay $300 and you can have the means of a whole basic means of a studio in the palm of your hand.
Yeah.
So so I after studying a lot of different core companies, I've noticed that you are the only one that really has like an independent feel to it, a more underground pro wrestling guerrilla style show compared to the big arena shows. And Geo, add on to this, like it's almost every company. And talk shit if you want to. You could call them out because there are and it's not to talk shit, but kind of like educate them on what to do, because some of these shows I look at, I'm just like, this is a little ridiculous. How can we make this a little more grounded?
So my and I guess I'll date back to when. So the first season of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling was just me and my friends, right? And we just did it for the bullshit of the fun of it, And when I discovered that there was more people, or there was a big community behind this, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then a lot of people wanted a season 2. Me and my friends, we just did it for the fun of it, but we got so much good good responses from people in the community. And I'm just like, all right, guys, do you want to do like a season 2? Then that's when I went full deep into it. Like, okay, how can we stand out from these guys who's been doing it for years? For years, So outside of legit showing ourselves in front of camera, the whole I implemented green screen so we can put ourselves into it. You know, I started learning more about HLR because I remember during that process, like, what the hell is this? Why did I do this? You
Yeah,
know,
and
or
for those
I didn't know.
and for those not listening, what is HLR?
So HLR is basically it's called highlight reel. It's an option in the game where it doesn't show the HUD or nothing. So it's an option where you save the last 35 or 45 seconds of your in-game gameplay and you go into the game and you pick your camera angles and stuff like that. So you're basically a film crew in the game. And a lot of people use HLR to create a better match feel and also to create unique move sets and combinations. So that's what HLR is. HLR, highlight reel. So when season 2 came about, I realized, okay, let's up the ante, you know. And from there, I realized because I always think bigger. So okay, so while people when I'd be like, okay, season 2, we're gonna create our production, blah blah blah. But in my mindset, is more like, how can I make this into a legit thing? I always think bigger. And every time I do something from a YouTube or a podcast, I take it 10 times or no pun intended to the extreme. In my head, that's my extreme. How can I like make myself known? How can I if these guys been doing it for 10 years and I only did it in 6 months and I reach a bigger impact, how can I do that times 10? So that's when I realized I'm gonna buy me a DHLR camera and I'm gonna go to the wrestling scene. I'm gonna understand wrestling as it is. I'm not a professional wrestler, but I can cheat my way into getting into the business the same way how Jim Cornette, Paul Heyman got into it. They started off as
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So let's pause with the cost stuff real quick. How did you get into wrestling? Period. Like how like you said you got into photography. What's the story there?
Oh, so that exactly. This all relates to it. I learned how to YouTube. I learned how to use a camera. So I got me a DHLR camera on the process of going into season 2 of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, and I got me a Canon G7X and a 90D, Canon 90D DHLR. So I went into wrestling promotions, one of them being Capital Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Magic, and I was
both great promotions too.
Yeah, I was legit taking photography. I was taking photos of pro wrestlers, and I was understanding the wrestling scene. So that's all of this is because of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling Season 2. I went to a couple of wrestling shows. I got to learn the business. You know, I got to learn to go into a locker room, understand locker room talk. I got to understand, or like, you know, learning about times, about match cards. I was legit helping around not only doing photography, because if you learn photography, you can learn videography in less than a week.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I got to learn learning the hard cam. Yeah, I got to learn the hard cam. I got to understand how wrestlers put their matches together, and all of this, I'm taking it all in and soaking it all in, because if I ever did a season 3 of Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, or the last show or the last 2 shows leading to a pay-per-view, I want to show my progression as being a promoter, match booker, producer, HLR guy, because I'm learning all of these things and I'm gonna implement it into my fucking show. Because the end goal was always XVPW. I didn't get into pro wrestling because I want to know pro wrestling. I got into pro wrestling because I want to make my shows better than these other promotions.
That's really cool, and that's a very interesting perspective, because like I know Gio physically trained. I physically trained for a short time, and you know we wanted to get into the industry to actually be performers. Whereas you're coming in to learn the industry in a different light, so you could make more immersion to your content.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you go like in the tri-state scene of the tri-state indie scene, basically we call it the Mecca now, which is the Knights of Columbus, Richfield, Pro Wrestling Magic. People who knows Pro Wrestling Magic, who knows Capital Wrestling and HOG and whatnot. Those three big names, because I won't consider Game Changer Wrestling indies because they're more statewide now. But those three promotions knows about Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling because
Yeah.
they know me as, oh, that's that XVPW guy. You should check out his shit, or these are the guys who I interview or get like shout outs and all that stuff.
Yeah, the little
People who
clips.
work- like yeah, for people who work behind the scenes and whatnot, they know me as XVPW guy, because I'm always constantly plugging my show in, or if I get like a little bit of a commercial, I will always plug it in. That's what they know me as, because I told them like, hey, come check this out, because you want to be something like you want to be proud of what you do. So
Absolutely.
of course you gotta plug it in. You're not gonna plug in something that's shitty, So so if you're proud of your work, then like, all right, I'm gonna plug it in.
So pro wrestling magic, I believe it to be one of the best promotions in New Jersey.
Steve Off is the owner. That's basically his ring.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see that ring at Knights of Columbus, that's Steve Off's ring. It's legit under the stage, and he books everything there.
That's
the guy
great.
who set that up is Bruno.
Lou Bruno.
Lou Bruno.
Lou Bruno, big shout out to Lou Bruno. I actually have his mask right over there, his original mask. Me and Gio have actually talked about bringing him on. He's actually one. I love Lou. I love Lou. He's for the fan base. He's he's very talented. I love the guy, and I really hope to see. He's a very hard worker, and I hope to see much success for him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Really knows the business. I learned a lot from him too. It's actually thanks to him I know how to set up a ring by myself, even though I don't have like the capacity to like hold on it like those 2x4s. He taught me how to set up a ring. Mikey McKenjo, a huge part of the pro wrestling magic scene. He's basically training and whatnot, and he also sets up the ring at Knights of Columbus. Those guys put in work. That's the reason why I got into it. Is because I enjoy the wrestling culture, and I use those type of stories and stuff to be in XVPW. Because many people, they know how to put together a car show, but I know how to produce a wrestling show. There's a big difference behind that. When you have so much knowledge of like forcing yourself to listen to 20 million different types of podcasts, not just reaction shows or review shows, but really understand the business, then it makes you stand out more to the others, because they're gonna ask you, oh, what was your mindset behind this? Well, I listened to 20 different types of podcasts, so everybody said the same shit. So now I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah, I understand now why this goes here, and why this match is supposed to be here, and why this match did not do great, so let's put it in this slot.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I do want to ask, what were some of your, because Pro Wrestling Magic, it's very indie, but at the same time they've had some very big names. I've seen Keith Lee and Cody Rhodes there.
Oh yeah.
So what were some matches that really stick to your head from Pro Wrestling Magic that you consider to be some of the best ones?
My favorite match, the one that really stuck out, is actually not one of the big names, but if you're really big into indie wrestling, then you probably know this big name. It's Dan Maff versus Pinky Sanchez.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because
Big Danny.
Is that the one where he threw Pinky on the wall?
well, there's a lot of matches, but I guess if you're really, because I was heavily into the pro wrestling matches.
Those two go
Why?
hard, man.
Yeah, the reason why I like that match is because when I first started, Pinky was on the rise and whatnot. So
Sanchez.
yeah, and Sanchez was on the rise, and I knew about
Not
Dan
related.
Maff. I knew that Dan
Related.
Maff because I knew about Dan Maff because of WrestlePro. So when the reason why I was so invested into that match because as a photographer, I was there almost every month and whatnot. So I get to see the growth of a guy who's on the come up versus a guy who's a legend. So seeing the match play out and seeing them wrestle go at it for like the whole entire year was actually pretty cool. And I think that's the reason why it stand out to me. And seeing Pinky advance his moveset was actually pretty cool. I think,
I've seen it.
and,
He very cool guy. He's actually Pinky. Pinky's actually well acquainted with with many people in Hudson County. And
Yeah.
he's another guy that I really enjoy his work. You know, because he gets a rise out of people, but at the same time, he knows what works. He knows what gets people talking, and
Another one of my boys I'd like to shout out, Rick Cross.
oh yeah,
Ev-
yeah,
Ev-
exactly.
Little homie.
And that's actually my number 2 favorite match is actually
That is my
Everett
homeboy.
Cross.
I fucking love that kid.
so it was Everett Cross and Smiley because they were a tag team.
Smiley.
Mm-hmm.
Those,
Lucha.
so Everett Cross was learning under Smiley, and I knew Smiley because of HOG, and HOG because of Pro Wrestling Magic, because it will work the same way.
House
So,
of Glory is so great too.
Smiley got me my gig at HOG because I used to take pictures at HOG. So and Everett Cross was on the come up because he was still brand new to the scene. He was called God of Drivers, and that's the reason why I used the Omega Driver.
Dude,
My
that
moveset-
kid innovated the whole pile driver. Like he took
Yeah.
that pile
He did.
driver stint and wrote it.
Now that's the wrestler who usually wears like the striped pants, right?
Yeah.
Long,
Yeah,
long. He's got like a medium to long black hair. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I try.
Dude, that kid.
He's great.
He rose fast though. Like he was a quick rise.
I know he's a fan favorite. People love him.
Yeah.
I look at some of these indie wrestlers. Like one of my favorite, my favorite indie, my favorite Pro Wrestling Magic match was EC Negro and JT Dunn, and that was for the Pro Wrestling Magic Championship, and that was actually a really cool match for me because that was the first time I've been in an indie space before.
Oh yeah.
That was the very first time. It was Pro Wrestling Magic. That was my first because I just went to WWE shows, but when I came back to New Jersey, me and my wife went to Pro Wrestling Magic shows and WrestlePro as well.
And the reason why a lot of people are using that venue now is because of the New Jersey state laws of sports recreation.
Tell me about that. What is the new law?
The law is basically in New York City and whatnot. You can't do that many those death matches and stuff like that. So when you look, there's like no bleeding and all that shit.
Yeah. And look at the history of New York in general, where it wasn't until just a couple years ago where UFC was just allowed to come in and actually do shows in New York. So
if you look at the wrestling scene in New York City, especially indie scene, there's only 2 shows, which is
House of Glory.
HOG and ICW or Game Changer and whatnot, but they don't do any death matches. All the death matches and stuff that are all that is in New Jersey. It's all in New
Camden,
Jersey.
Trenton.
Yeah.
Yep.
CZW, things like that. Yeah.
Because in the rest and that's why because they can get away with it. It's not can bleed. You can use a table and all that stuff. But in New York, nah, you can't do none of that. They legit had to shut down a GCW show. I think it was Homicide's anniversary, and Nick Gage used a pizza cutter, and they legit just shut it down. Like that's it. No. Cops came in and all that stuff. Yeah.
No way. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like the indie scene has such a passionate crowd now. There was some mishaps a couple years ago, like it happens every year, but the indie wrestling scene is back in action, especially after COVID. Gio, Gio, do you have anything before I start digging deep?
No, I'm good, dude. This is all Max right now, puppy. I'm just.
Oh yeah, that's what. Hey, that's what you were hired for. That's what you were hired for.
Chime in
Which,
when I need to.
which guys, for those who don't know, Gio is now my permanent compatriot here. So
I get lost. I get lost in my own fuck over here.
Yeah,
on the side
he's-
until I gotta chime in.
he's not a Jamie. You know, he's more than that. But now I do
I'm
want to
not a
ask.
fan,
So,
unfortunately.
how important is it to you? So, character immersion. So this is all like for me. I'm a big RP player. GTA, Red Dead Redemption, Fallout. How important is it? How important is character immersion from you from real life human to character? And what do you expect from people who create these characters?
Oh man, you know it's funny because wrestling itself is just an opinion to me. There's no good or bad way to go about it, but there is a constructive, professional way to go about it in a way. You know, I'm never gonna tell a person, "Hey, you should fix this character up because it's not going over." I can make anything basically go over if you have a person with a good direction and a good mentality of what you do. You know, I made an example. Gio can back me up on this. We had a boy named Christian Maniac, right? That's the first time I worked with a guy who gets stage fright. That's the first time I ever in my life witnessed stage fright from a person, and his anxiety is about to go through the roof because I said, "Okay, lights, camera, action," and he froze. So I never worked with that before. So I'm like, then Gio was like, "Here's a guy in Instagram who has to post only one picture, and he gets that many views," and I'm like, "How can I work with that? People clearly like this guy. How can I make
Clearly.
him go over in XBPW?" And I realized, okay, let me study some footage, or let me study people who don't really talk much on the mic, but it's what their looks that get them over. And that's when I learned about Orange Cassidy and what you call it, Dexter Loomis. Two guys who are quiet but are able to go over. And that's why I made, and that's when you see Christian Maniac, and Gio has seen it first glance because he witnessed the XBPW experience, where I'm able to work with a guy and say, "Hey, we're gonna make, if that can go over, we're gonna make this 10 times go over," and it worked. People are like, "Oh, I like this," and it worked, and it made Maniac 10 times over than he really is. You know, because
That's great.
because you work, because like I said, and I learned something from Paul Heyman not too long ago, is the reason why ECW talent got so over with the crowd is because he took time to work with each wrestler. Vince McMahon or Eric Bishop would not know what to do with Raven.
No.
Why like, you know, or like why would a guy, you know, like why would a guy who does not go over in the W crowd go so over in ECW? Because they see the growth. The guy behind the camera knows how to shoot from the bottom up to make him look good, or you know, and that's the reason why you need a person with a direction or the growth of a character to make him go over. Raven and Tommy Dreamer work together behind the Raven character, and Paul Heyman put his input on it and say, "Okay, I like where this is going. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. Here's a okay. This character's going over on XVPW. Let's take that character and put him over at another promotion." No, they wouldn't know what to do with that guy. That's the reason why. That's the reason why I feel like Gates loves working with me, because I know the direction. He told me what to do. He told me what his character is. Okay, now it's my job as a person who's on a promotion, who knows booking. We're gonna do this in 5 episodes straight. We're gonna show the development of the Gates character, so it'll go over in this one. People don't take that one-on-one or the personal booking, and that's the reason why there's difference between XVPW, which is a legit show, and you have those other cautions, those other promotions.
That's those are the shows that I call the toy boxes, where they're just literally fan companies. It's wrestling fans who don't really understand the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
game or not, there's still a science to wrestling. There's a
Yeah.
science to building a story. There's a
A
science to
character.
creating a character. There's a science to creating the persona behind that character. Like there's a lot that goes into just
So
it's a game. Like no, if you're gonna be a part of something of creative community, then there is a business aspect to it. You guys are working because that's what business is. Business is work. You're working to build something, whether if it's for fun or not. Like there's a passion that goes into it.
I guess
It's
to answer your question, it's more of what do I look for in an XPPW call or wrestler is somebody who knows their calls very, very well to the point where I can help out and create that vision for you. If you tell if I ask you what's your gimmick and you say I don't really know, like okay, how can I help me help you?
Yeah.
You know? It's like,
What are your interests? Do you like poker? Do you like fishing? You know.
yeah. You know, some guys can't even answer that. They say, "Oh, I like Will Ospreay."
I'm a bad guy. Like I'm a bad guy. That's it.
I'm a
heel.
bad
How
man.
heel are you? It's like,
It's like tell me your story. What's about? Oh, I like Will Ospreay. I like AJ Styles. I like the Young Bucks. Okay, but that's them. Who are you? You know, what's your story? You know, when me and Gabe shot for the first time, I was like, okay, I want to tell this story of like, you know, you working your way to get an XVPW contract. That's the first 5 episodes. Boom. All right, so now we have a good backstory. Who's Gabe Gates? Boom. It's a guy
Who's
earned his
X?
way- Oh, X
You know,
is
like
good.
no, yeah, you know, like who are it's incredible. It really is incredible. Keep going, man. I'm sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. Cause like that's the way I booked Gates for the first 4 episodes. It's like okay, people in IG know who Gabe Gates is, but people in XVPW don't know who Gabe Gates is. So I'm gonna tell a story of 5 episodes of Gabe Gates earning his way to Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling, where he fights like these wrestlers, and next thing you know, the president's like, you know, it's okay, I guess, but here's your money. Okay, bye. Then Gabe was like, oh wait, no, give me one more shot, you know, and boom, he fights Christopher Daniels. And
Which
this is-
now that's another thing I have to talk about. I think so. You've had Christopher Daniels. You've had just recent. Oh wait, I don't want to spoil that one if that hasn't come out yet. The
Brian? No, people already know who Brian is.
no.
Yeah.
Rob Van Dam. Yeah,
Okay, yeah. So you just got Rob Van Dam. You have Christopher Daniels, Joey Janela. So what's the process of getting these guys to give just a small shout out like that? And are you now? This is something I've always been curious about, and I've never actually asked you. Do you need permission from them to use their character in these like legacy fights, like Gabriel Gates versus Rob Van Dam?
No, it's more of that's the theme behind XVPW. It's basically extreme virtual pro wrestling. Pro meaning
Virtual.
professional. So if you the pro is the most important part of XVPW because you gotta have a professional product in order to show somebody like a Daniels or Rob Van Dam, hey, this is what I do. You know, I'm really big into the scene. And you know, can you mind like doing a promo or delivering a shout out? Yeah, sure. You know,
that is so cool because you've had really
it's
big
basically
names.
it's basically a hustle grind mentality of what I do.
Now, do you do promos against them? Is that something that happens every now and then?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll get like let's say me or somebody. Like,
Didn't
calls
Gio do
somebody
one
out.
against Christopher Daniels? Didn't you do a promo against him? And he did it back, right?
Yeah.
Well, he cut a promo on me first initially. As all like throughout my journey so far, like it was pretty much like Max like, gave me these surprise opponents. Like he was just throwing guys at my character like crazy, and I had no idea who they were. So I would always respond after the fact. So once they cut on me, I had to respond like shit.
So you're doing promos with these bigger names like Ring of Honor guys, and how did that make you feel? You know, you have Christopher Daniels saying Gabriel Gates this and that. Like, you know, that's pretty cool.
no, it's awesome, which is why I also like working with Max, is because, like, again, you mentioned before, like, I had the training. Not only did I have the training, I also like did a stint where New Jersey All Pro for a while, and I was literally a throw around guy for Jersey All Pro for a couple of months until they actually like gave me a shot, and then they introduced the cruiserweight belt for the first time, and they gave me that opportunity. So that was probably the biggest moment I ever fucking lived out, was that. And then what kind of ended that for me was this guy named 911 at the time. This fucking gigantic son of a bitch.
Oh, 911
powerbombed
from
my
ECW.
Yeah, power bombed my ass out the goddamn ring, and it hurt a lot. So I took some time off. I was working like behind the scenes. I was doing like table work and shit, and then I decided to get back in. And when I got back in through ECPW, which is East Coast Wrestling. So I got back in through them as kind of like a henchman fucking dude with JP, which was Pitt at the time. But yeah, dude, like working that whole stint and then being able to work with like guys like this, even though Gabriel Gates is, you know, that's a game character that uses my face. That's
but still recognized.
Yeah, absolutely. And what made it recognizable is just my dedication to. I'm devoted to kayfabe. Kayfabe is a thing in wrestling that we consider religion. Like, that's something that I was taught once I walked in through the fucking training center. Ace Academy, they were like, "Do you know what the fuck kayfabe is?" I said, "God, no." And they ripped me a new one and fucking ran me through the ringer for that shit. And I had to learn. Like, I had to learn how to like really be able to separate the character from, you know, the personal, my personal life. And that's really a lot of the challenge with Call, is there's some people that don't understand it. There's some people that get into it as fans that don't really get the grasp of what kayfabe is, so they get lost in like the character's emotion and start expressing personal through the like. It's a really fucking weird ass world, but like every gaming community, there's always that lot. There's always that bunch.
It is very cool. I mean, I'm looking at so you have over 1,000 subscribers, and that's actually really good. And you know,
And it's just for that too, which is pretty cool. Like, I know people who have channels that upload stuff that's not really related to that thing. All that is because of like 6 years and plus of just doing that. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I really do enjoy the content that you have made. I mean, you bring together a video game and real life into one with green screens and character immersion. So it brings me to this: you have all these different personalities together, right?
What do you mean?
Like different people, you know, constantly constantly communicating with each other. You know, how, you know, when does the drama? How long does it take for the drama to set in? You know what? You know, these are, because you know people sometimes misconstrue the role play for real life sometimes. So
Funny enough, it was not too long ago till I experienced my first drama. But besides that, nah, I never had that issue whatsoever.
That's good.
It's more of, I worked with the right people, and now it's like, okay, you know, because everybody's gonna deal with that some way, some shape or form. You know, Vince McMahon dealt with that with Shawn and Brett. You know, so I learned that people join XCPW because they want to be part of something special, not because it's the hottest new thing or whatnot. It's, they really wanted to be part of it. I learned that through Gio. Was it you who messaged me first, or did I message you first? I do not know. But all I know is Gio really wanted to be in it because he really liked it, and I'm like, all right, you know. And I learned that, found out that he lived in Jersey City. So okay, you know.
I just when I got into watching the product, I was introduced to the product by Christian Maniac. He's the one that put me on. And when I watched the product, the first thing that like caught my attention was just how each character had a story to tell on the show, and they were able to like get their shine. And you really didn't see the titles do shit. Like the titles really don't mean anything.
No, it really doesn't. It's all part of the story.
It's the story that really makes the characters. It really makes the company what it is. Like what he calls the XBPW experience is the filming. Like you know, going through that experience,
going there that first Sunday,
actually acting out the character, and you know, talking as the character, like you're portraying it. Like it's something that, as somebody who lost the ability to be in a ring, like this is the next best thing because I could still do what I love. I could still have a camera on me and portray something that I'm hoping to sell. Like that's the whole purpose of the Gabriel Gates character in general. I'm selling a fucking tyrant. I'm selling you that this guy is a legitimate asshole. That's his fucking job. That's it. That's his whole
and that's funny because like even like when I make my character, like I've made so many changes to him which I have to upload for him today. I put a party shirt on him because I have like 30 party shirts at home. And if I were and if I ever had to film in person, I could bring a party shirt with me, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
what Gio said is absolutely right. Is because I will never explain that. You know, I only did it once, which was yesterday. You know, but that's why I said like the titles don't really mean nothing because I made it. I made my show that way because it's all about the character. You know, it's all about the person. I can put a title on a fucking dog. And my dog will go over more than the fucking title. You know, that's the whole point.
You could put lipstick on the pig.
Yeah, like I can make a paper cup go over. If I can make a person who does not speak go over, you can only imagine what will mean when I put that title on the person. Yeah. Because that's the whole point of XVPW. It's more of the character and the story, which I feel is what's lacking in this community in general.
Yeah.
It's more like there is no stories because people always jump ship, leave, or whatnot, so it's hard to tell a continuous story. But luckily enough, knock on wood, I have a really good roster who loves what I do to the point where, hey, I don't mind waiting. I love this story shit. You know, I want to see it play out because I booked it that way. I planned it that way. Yeah, I do have a plan A, B, C, all the way up to Z. But I always stuck with plan A because none of these guys fucking jumped ship or left. You know? And that's the whole point behind it is I'm all about the story. I like to see the story play out, you know?
Cool. I have just a couple more questions and we'll be done. This is going to be an exclusive, all right? Are you ready? Is XVPW a paid subscription?
No. Never.
Why, you know, I don't know where it came from. You know?
I heard about it.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life because we're all broke.
You want to know? You want something more ridiculous?
Let's hear it.
It's the other way around.
What do you mean?
When you're at XVPW, you get paid.
Really?
Yeah.
What, like do YouTube residuals?
No. Funny enough, I never monetized XVPW.
Really?
Caves can back it up because he received a good decent amount of money.
So this is something that you can put on your resume as like an acting credential of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible, actually. You hear that? You hear that, folks?
So kayfabe wise, you will get paid in XVPW, but not kayfabe wise. It's more of thank you for putting your time, amount of energy, sweat, all that shit. Here you go. If I'm paying Brian Pillman Jr., Daniels, Kid Bandit, and whatnot, why don't I pay my roster too? That was my mindset behind it. It's more like,
Interesting.
hey, you did all this and all that shit. You know, you you never left. You did this, and all of them will tell me, yo, you don't need to pay me. You don't need to pay me. I do this for fun. No, 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 no. No. This is fun, but also you you put in your time and effort. Here you go.
I respect it, man. I really, as a producer, I respect a lot, and I should start taking tips.
Yeah.
But you know,
And I have a feeling the only reason why I heard that, which was not too long ago, is you have to pay and whatnot, is because again, the look of the fucking product and the look of the theme behind it and everything is what, and that's the reason why I feel a lot of people are so scared, to join in a way, because it is an overwhelming type of thing where you look at that and you don't have the confidence to be like, damn.
And it's
like,
nuts because it's not like you don't get applications. You get a lot of like people. Well, it's not even the applications. What you get is messages. Are you hiring? Or are you guys looking for people? And it's like like what you said yesterday. We're always looking for people. It's just a matter of can you get in front of a fucking camera? Can you cut a promo as your character? Like, if not, we'll find ways to make it work. But you have to give us something to fucking work with.
Yeah.
Nobody has the balls to do that. Like, and then they'll give us the runaround. I love that one. Oh, I'll get it to you tonight. And then 3 months later, hey, you guys hiring still? Motherfucker, I'm still waiting on your promo. Like,
yeah. Like I have to admit, it's legit. Once you break that confidence barrier, once you break that little shell of yours that a lot of people in the community don't really have, it's like, yeah, you have enough confidence to talk shit behind the keyboard, but can you do it? Can you do it in front of a camera?
Exactly.
And that's the reason. That's the feel like a lot of people are very overwhelmed when they look at something like XVPW because they don't have the confidence to be like, I can do that. Okay, do you want to join? Yeah. All right.
Well, actually, let me add on to that. It's not just the confidence of being able to get on a mic and spit. It's also the confidence of staying in character, keeping it in context with what you're trying to convey out of the conversation. You're leading up to a feud. Okay, then you got to talk about why you're leading up to that feud. What's getting up to that feud? I hate when people take that chance and they go off the rail and they're like, nah, you're just a bitch, or like, nah, you're just a bit. Like, when they go that way, it's like, all right, like, this is no longer a promo now. Now you're just talking shit to talk shit. Like, dude, give me something to work with again.
and that's the funny part is too, to piggyback off that is okay, you're an XVPW. You got the 2 promos asked for. Okay. Now let's see you work with this person and you go back and forth. I need this by Friday. Here's this line, here's this line, here's this line. Nail your cue. Because that's the also part of XVPW. Okay. It's more than just promo here, send it to me. Okay. Let's wait a while. No. I want you to work with a segment with a guy who will probably out promo you, but you know what? It's like that. That's the work part behind it. It's more okay. Nail your cue. I need this under 5 minutes. Can you do that for me? Don't bitch it. Don't bitch at me now. That's the whole thing. Like, okay, boom, boom, boom. 5 segments. Can you work with a segment? If you can't do a segment, all right. Why did you join? You saw the product. You saw what I deliver. You know what I'm expecting out of you now. So there's layers behind it. That's not many people can do that in call.
now with the quality of your work, and I will say you have really good quality. I've said it a few times, like you probably, in fact, in my opinion, from what I've seen, from what I actively watch, you have the best call show out there right now. So I'm very honored to have you here, even though we're all friends here. But that's the point of the show, clean and friends, right? But my question, the next question that I have, do you think that this would be a good platform for independent wrestlers like Lou Bruno or JT Dunn and Everett Cross to be a part of XVPW to for them to be promoted in their craft? Do you think it's a good transition for them? Have they come or has anyone come to talk to you to be a part of it?
I have a couple of guys, but most of the time, like, would it benefit them? It's another platform, but will it be successful for them? No, not really. You know, this is just a good place to. It's another alternative for them. You know, but the only people who will benefit off is people like me, Gabe. You know, if you want to, like I always say, like if you want to have a good time, you know, something new, especially video game related, that this is good for them. But with like an Everett Cross, nah, not really. Not unless he wants to, work segments and all that stuff. I had a guy, he's still an XVPW, Sir Wilkins. He's from the Jobbeteers podcast and whatnot. He's an XVPW, and he loves what I do.
What's the name of that podcast?
The Jobbeteers podcast. Very well-known tri-state independent wrestling podcast. They talk about, outside of they talk about WWE and all that stuff, but they're also trained wrestlers.
That's not the one with Dre 41, is it?
No. If you look up Sir Wilkins, he's probably the head guy, and his brother, his name is Mr. Black. He's a referee at the Fallout Shelter. He's also a trained wrestler.
Oh yeah, I see him now. I know. Okay, there it is. Yep.
Yeah. So he's part of XVPW, and he likes what I do because him and I have the same hustle grind mindset.
Yeah.
And he's the one that also advertised XVPW. Every time I see him at an HOG show, he'll give me a shout out. All that stuff. Because that's why I say XVPW is more than just a typical talk show, because we're not only we have independent wrestlers and all that stuff, but we work with people who are in the wrestling scene, from podcasters, who do shirts, whatever, the whole nine, that hustle grind mentality.
Artists like Geo.
Yeah, artists like Geo, So, and I had, and I go out my way to meet with these people, to talk to them, to advertise XVPW, I worked with comedians before, in XVPW. I worked with people who are DJs, and all that stuff, or
all different walks of life.
Yeah, like Nerdum podcast. Like,
and also, it's a cool opportunity for like guys who either don't or can't get into physical professional wrestling. It gives them an opportunity to kind of live out their dream. In a way, and I think that's very special, especially people who have the imagination span for it, because that's what it's all about, imagination, isn't it?
The reason why I have that mentality is because like I said, I think bigger than what normal people think. Like, okay, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do a cause show. Let me just get a bunch of these cause. All right, that's the box mentality. My mentality is I'm in a wrestling scene. Okay, let me work with wrestling content creators, because that's in YouTube. If you realize, a lot of people do a lot of collaborative stuff to get known, right? You have this one Twitch streamer who will stream at another person's platform to another person's platform to grow their shit. So, in my mentality is, if I work with Sir Wilkins from the Jobbeteers podcast, I get his following, right? Now, if Sir Wilkins is in XVPW, I get his following because he'll promote it. It's the reason why I have 1,000 subscribers. If I work with a person who owns like a nerd podcast to showcase him in XVPW, all right, I get that following and this following. It's like the same thing in wrestling. One wrestler is not gonna just perform in one independent show. He wants to grow, so he'll grow in another promotion, and another promotion, and another promotion. Will Ospreay is not just in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's also in Progress. He does something in HOG. He does something in that. So it's that like I said, that indie mentality. If I couldn't, or like you, Sanchez, the fact that now I'm in your guest in your podcast, most likely I'll probably get some of your following because now you're an XVPW.
Yeah. Which is super exciting, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, spoiler alert! Sanchez is signed to XVPW.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. That's gonna be fun. So, all right, I got two more. What's your favorite wrestling game of all time and why?
Oh, I gotta say it's 2K19. Yeah. A lot of people probably might say like No Mercy, WrestleMania 2000, or Just Bring It, or Here Comes the Pain. But for me, it's always gonna be probably 2K19 because it's the game I learned a lot on, and also the
76 meta score too.
Yeah, and I think for the fact that it helped me be sane during the COVID era because 2K20 was so trash that they kept the servers up on 2K19, and yeah, without 2K19, there probably wouldn't be an XVPW.
Interesting. And now, so what does the future entail for Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling? What's the main goal? Like, what do you see this, or what do you want it to be?
Right now, there's this good saying that Paul Heyman said in ECW, and I'm gonna bite it off him because it's basically my new thing now. Is XVPW is the place where we under promise and we over delivered. And that's the theme for probably this show, right? Of this show with the new hall and everything, is
which is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah, it's that mentality, and I felt like I always had that mentality because I always gonna under promise, but I'm gonna over deliver. If the ticket price was $1, you're gonna get $10 out of this show, you know.
I like that, and it's great. It's great production. Where can we find you? Slap us all your slap us all your socials.
It's XVPW_YT on probably Instagram and Twitter. Extreme Virtual Pro Wrestling. You can look it up on YouTube. If you type anything XVPW on Google, you'll probably find it'll come up. If you guys want a sweater, sticker, a shirt, all proceeds goes to the XVPW roster. Not me. I don't need it. ExtremeVirtualProWrestling.com is where you get all the gear. I should probably upload the new logo on the shirts now. So yeah.
Good idea.
Is that the one that's on the corner of Gio's screen there? The one that's on Google right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I literally looked up XVPW and that's the logo that came up.
Yeah, see? It's that algorithm, man. Like I said, consistency. Consistency. It's all about the consistency.
That shit's scrolling on my OBS 24/7.
Dude, Google, the whole Google thing is insane right now. There's you and Joey Janela I'm looking at.
Mm-hmm. That's my opponent for the King of Extreme tournament coming up. You know?
Yeah, all these. There's your arena, the new arena. Trish Rochambeau versus Youngblood. Yeah, the Google thing. I mean, you can't miss this if you're on XVPW.
Yeah, that's the whole. Like I said, man. I treat my promotion like a legit promotion. That's the whole thing behind it, man. If you have a good product and a professional product, you're gonna get good results out of it. You know? And I tend to keep it that way.
The new hall. What's that new hall based out of?
Basically, the Knights of Columbus. We call it the Mecca.
I love it. Well, Gio, you got anything before we end?
Nah, man, just keep your eyes peeled. So, there's a lot of shit going on with XVPW.
Yeah, man.
I'm loving the direction it's going now because it's branching from just a wrestling show to a full-on showcase with wrestling. Like that's, it's really going to be a lot more to capture the eye other than just, virtual characters going back and forth. We're actually Dude, we're doing it. Like we're doing as much work as possible to give people something different, like really different, and it's given a lot of us an opportunity to act, to portray, to basically do what we love to do, which is role play, but for real. Like this is legitimate. Like we're portraying these characters, we're playing other characters, we're creating stories, scenarios, skits, and so on, just to kind of broaden more of what extreme virtual pro wrestling is. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
I'm am
excited
too, actually.
Too, for the fact that I just can't wait to just drop the show and to see everybody's hard work pay off. That's really about, that's I think that's the, like I said, it's the XVPW experience, man. That's really about, It's more like, because we knew what we went to get this done, Yeah. And not many people can say that, especially in a car show. In a car show, it's more of, hey, here's this highlight reel. You didn't really do much. It was all me. That's basically about it, Unless a person did a show and hey, that's my car, like, oh, that's my car.
That's all they have to do with it.
That's all they have to say. It's the person who did everything behind that. But now, for me, I can say, hey, that's Gio's car. I remember doing that match, but Gio did really dope in this fucking segment that we just aired. That's where I'm proud of. Cause that's where I'm proud to say.
We went all the way over here in the middle of the night to film in the freezing cold with a cool view. Yeah. But we did it take after take to get this done.
All to get it done on location or in front of a green screen.
Look authentic, to give it a look that nobody else has. Nobody else has.
It's like more the reason to me say, hey, this is the reason why I signed this person. It's not the reason why I signed this call. It's the reason why I signed Gio. The reason why I signed Sanchez. I didn't sign Sanchez's call. I signed Sanchez. I signed JF.
Fully binding agreement.
The same way that he signed Rob Van Dam. Yeah. The same way that he signed. It's authenticity. It's another thing that XVPW definitely provides.
Yeah, I don't sign cause. I sign talent. There's a big difference. There's a big difference, and like I said, it's
dude. You know what? That's a shirt. I'm making that tonight. That's a fucking shirt.
That's the shirt.
Mac, sign talent, not cause.
Exactly.
And we're saying that, Max, thank you. Thank you so much. Until next time.
Peace.
Definitely.